Hello everyone, my name is Elise. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing so good today. We're doing my book haul for the month of September, and I'll just say right off the bat, I'm fucked because this book haul is huge, and if you know, you know, I'm trying to make the books that I bring into my library match the books that I'm reading from my library, and this is not putting me in the right direction, and I'm already behind. So more on that in October, because I'll be doing an update on my reading goals in October. But yeah, just know this is huge and it's not looking good for your girl. So there's that. I think we have like 17 books total for this book haul, which is crazy for a 1-month book haul. 12 of them I've bought myself, and then 5 were gifted to me. So we'll go ahead and get right into them. Like usual, we're going to start with my pre-orders for the month. There are 3 pre-orders that I had come in for the month of September. So let's go ahead and get into them. The first one is The Devil of the Provinces. This is by Juan Cardenas and published by Coffee House Press. I already showed this one because it was nominated for the National Book Award in Translated Literature, and it was in my reaction video for that. But this one is about a man who is having to return to his native Colombia after 15 years of being gone. And then he is all of a sudden thrust back into the murder case of his brother that was unsolved many years ago. That's already interesting enough on its own, and this is listed as a crime novel, but the other parts that really got me is, I don't know how these build into the narrative, but it also says that it involves a boarding school where girls give birth to strange creatures. Like, very intrigued. And then he also has a chance encounter with his first love, and his first love says they're irrevocably changed. So I'm very intrigued to see what that means as well. But that is The Devil of the Provinces. Very interested to get to this one, and really happy that it got nominated for the National Book Award this year. So we'll see how well it does. Next on the pre-orders, I have so many I don't even know where to put these. Maybe put them on the floor, I don't know. So next one we have Lights, and this is by Brenna Thummler, and it is published by Oni Press. This is the 3rd in this graphic novel series. I believe this is YA. It's either middle grade or YA. I want to say it's YA. These characters are in high school. But since this is the 3rd in the series, I won't talk specifically about what this one is, but I will say part of why I keep picking this series up is the art style. This might well be my favorite art ever in a graphic novel series. This is some of what the art looks like. It has this color palette. Let's see, I'll do a quick glance through where it's like pinks and purples and blues in the color palette, and I just adore it. I love the art so much. The story is also enjoyable, but for me, it's more about the art than the story. But the first one follows a girl whose mother has passed away pretty recently, and she and her family, she has a father and a younger sister, are struggling to sort of make it by. They own a laundromat business, and she is heavily working at the laundromat business, and then this cute little ghost made out of a sheet, Wendell, pops up in her laundromat, and the story goes from there. I'm really excited to get to this. I'm going to read it in October, perfect for spooky season, and this is the finale in this series. You can see my dog groaning and laying down in the corner, but this is the finale of the series, so excited to see how this kind of finally wraps up. So that is Lights. And last in the pre-order section is Electric. This is a short story collection by Two Lines Press from the Calico series, which we know I love. I talk about this all the time. I'm about to talk about another book from the series as well. And this is an anthology of Caribbean writers and all short stories, and translated by a number of translators as well. And I'm not really sure what the themes are going to be in this anthology. I basically buy all of these and was really excited when they were coming out with Caribbean writing. So that's really why I bought it. It's all by women. There are 8 stories in this collection, and can't wait to get to it. So that is Electric. I also love this edition. So now we're just going into the books that I've bought outside of pre-orders for myself this month. The next one to go along with Electric is another one in the Calico series. This is one of the only ones that I don't have, and I am trying to get them all. And this is called This Is Us Losing Count. It's a poetry anthology. This is all by Russian authors, so translated from the Russian. Again, various authors, various translators. And this says that the central question that it's bringing up here is to what extent we must remember the past in order to reinvent the future. And I think that's a really interesting question. I have a fascination with memory and the part of our brain that allows us to invent futures but also makes memory more subjective. I think that's really interesting as a concept and a unique part of being human. So I can't wait to see what this anthology has in store for us. And they're both kind of like blue, they match in a way. So This Is Us Losing Count. Next, we have 4 books that I picked up unexpectedly because I went to a going away party for some friends of ours that are moving to New York, and I had a couple of cocktails, to be honest, and right next door to where we were all getting dinner together is a bookstore that I don't go to very often, but always enjoy going when I can. And that is Elliott Bay Book Company. It's one of the biggest indies in Seattle, maybe the most well-known one as well. So I popped in there feeling good and bought 4 books. I'm happy I bought all of them, but let's go ahead and get into them. So first one, we have Mrs. S. This is by Kay Patrick and it's published by Europa. I have wanted this for a while. I almost bought this last month and then stopped myself. And then of course, after a couple of cocktails, I was not stopping myself any longer. So this one is about a woman who is a professor at a university or a boarding school, an elite all English girls boarding school. And she ends up starting a relationship with the headmistress. I want to say headmistress. Headmister? What do you call them? Headmaster. This is my US-ness coming out. So she ends up starting a relationship with the headmaster's wife. Intrigue, drama, we love to see it. So very excited to read this. I haven't read something that takes place at a school in a while, so I'm excited for those types of vibes. And honestly, this cover is beautiful. So really excited that I picked this up. It's also shorter than I thought it is. So that is Mrs. S. Next up there, we got another McNally Editions book. This is The Feast. The writing is kind of small. And this one is by Margaret Kennedy. Again, gorgeous cover. McNally Editions does such stunning covers. And this was really because I'm coming off of a high of reading Daddy's Gone A-Hunting and enjoyed it. So I wanted to pick up another one. They had several McNally editions there, but this was the one where the blurb sounded the most intriguing to me. This one is about, well, I should say, it takes place in 1947, and it's about a landslide that happens in a little seaside village, and it takes out this like manor hotel. I think the name of the hotel is Pendezac Manor Hotel, and 7 guests are killed, and then the remaining survivors are all giving their account of what it was like to either work there or stay there or live there. And it says that it's like an upstairs downstairs novel, so like the staff against the owners, let's say. And it says that this is a tale all about the 7 sins. So I think as they're each recounting, each of the 7 sins is getting brought up with the cast of characters that are included. So I think that's such an interesting premise for a novel, and I'm really excited to get to this. So that is The Feast. And next, from Elliott Bay, this one, my husband would like everyone to know that he picked this up, so all credit goes to him. So he pointed this out to me. I'm not sure why. It must have been because of the cover and or the title. And he was like, oh, this looks interesting. And I read it and it sounds very interesting. I've never heard of it before. So it's Fishing for the Little Pike by Juhani Karila, and it's translated from the Finnish by Lola Rogers, published by Restless Books, which I am not sure if I've ever read from them before. I have heard of them, but I don't think I've ever read anything from them. So I'm excited about that as well. And this won a couple of prizes. This one is about a woman who is going on her annual pilgrimage back to Lapland, and she's trying to catch this elusive pike, hence Little Pike in the cover. And all of this is taking place in 3 days time, which again, I love that concept where it's a really tight timeline that we're looking at. And then a bunch of strange happenings start taking place. It says there's a host of mythical creatures, a murder detective who's hot on her trail, and a deadly curse hanging over her head. So I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like so many good things that I love. Love the tight timeline, love a mystery plot, love a curse. Like all of that sounds so fantastic. I can't wait to get to this. And this is the author's debut. So very intrigued to read another debut because I feel like it's been a little bit since I've read one. So that is Fishing for the Little Pike, and can't wait to get to that. Props to my husband for pointing it out. And lastly there we got Cat Brushing, and this is a short story collection by Jane Campbell. It is their debut, and they wrote this at 80 years old, which I think is very impressive. And I have wanted this for a while, and then I saw it on their sale table and was like, okay, the time is now, I'm getting it. And this follows a group of, I think, 13 women who are all aging and older, and it's following the ways that society wants to like monitor and control women as they get older and how it underestimates them. I think that just sounds so intriguing, and I can't wait to read this. I also think the cover is great as well and is really indicative of what you're going to get inside the story. So yeah, that is Cat Brushing. Very much looking forward to that and excited. I got it for sale. Next up, I went to another indie bookstore that I go to pretty regularly, and that is Third Place Books. I personally love the Reimena location. If you're in Seattle, that's my favorite. But there I was able to pick up Gray Bees. This is by Andrey Kurkov and translated by Boris Dralyuk, and it's published by Deep Vellum. This is Deep Vellum's best-selling book ever, and I'm very intrigued by that alone. But it's also by a Ukrainian author, and it came out 2 weeks after the Russian-Ukrainian war officially broke out and was announced. So the timing is frightening, especially because this is about the previous occupation in Ukraine. And yeah, so just very relevant, clearly. But again, scary that, you know, we're not learning from past history. And this is all about two men who are in the gray zone in Ukraine and are trying to flee with a hive of bees, and for very different reasons. And I think you get to understand the reasons more and more along the way. And the two men used to know each other from school when they were younger, and they were rivals. So I think there's also that dynamic as they're making their way through the country. I'm very excited to get to this. I've heard great things, and obviously Deep Vellum's best-selling book. So I think it will be great. And that is Gray Bees. And lastly, for the selections that I bought myself, we have a few graphic novels that I'm planning to read in October, so I bought them knowing that I was going to be reading them very soon, and that is Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch. These are the first two. These are both by Bree Paulsen, and they are published by Quill Tree Books. I've heard such good things about both of these, and I wanted a cozy little graphic novel that was spooky themed to be able to intersperse some of my more murder heavy October reading that tends to happen. So I think these will be perfect. And again, I've heard that these are really great versions of what they're trying to do. So very excited to get to both of them. And yeah, I'm sure it will make me feel all the feels. So Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch. I think this is the first one and this is the second one in the series. So here's a little bit of the art style for you to look at. So those are adorable. And lastly, I got Seance Tea Party. This is by Reimena and it's published by RH Graphic. And of course, again, this just looks adorable for October. Let me show you a little bit of the art style there. So that is that. And this one is about a seance. So I think it's going to be pretty witchy. I also love tea. I don't drink coffee, which for Seattle is like crazy, but I love tea. So excited for the tea party element as well, and think will also be very, very cozy. So I'm excited to get to this one. Those are all of the books that I bought myself in the month of September. Now let's talk about the 5 that were gifted to me. If you had to take one guess, oh my God, look, he's back. I don't know when that happened, but let me see if I can just show you him a little bit more. There he is. Look at him go, oh my God. Okay, so I'll bring you back up. The 5 books, if I had to let you guess where they came from, you guessed it, my mother-in-law, because she's amazing and gave me 5 additional books. So let's go over them now. First one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This one is published by Berkeley, and I have not read an Emily Henry before, but I definitely want to. I just haven't been reading a lot of romance so far this year, but I do want to try and change that. And Book Lovers is one of the ones I feel like a lot of people have consensus that it's their favorite by her, and I think it could be my favorite. I also own The People We Meet on Vacation somewhere over there on the bookshelves, but I haven't read it yet. That was also gifted to me. I believe this one is a romance about a writer and an editor, and they end up needing to work together and then fall in love. So it says one summer, 2 rivals, a plot twist they didn't see coming. So thank you to my mother-in-law. Next up, we have The Hunting Party. This is by Lucy Foley, and it is published by William Morrow. I did read the guest list by Lucy Foley and very much enjoyed it, so I think this one will probably be a win for me. Who knows? But look how atmospheric this is with all the snow. I'm planning on reading this in December, because October and December are the 2 months where I try to seasonally read a little bit more. I think this one will be a perfect thriller for that stack. And it says, a New Year's reunion in the remote Scottish wilderness. Love that. And then it lists a bunch of the different like archetypes of the characters that we have. So it's like the beautiful one, the golden couple, the volatile one, the new parents, the quiet one, the city boy, the outsider. One of these friends is a murderer and one won't make it out alive. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm excited for this. Again, planning on reading it in December. And that is The Hunting Party. Next, we have an oldie but a goodie, and that is another Megan Miranda. This is The Only Survivors, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think Megan Miranda is a very reliable domestic thriller author, and she writes these like cozy small town domestic thrillers, and I enjoy that. This one I'm sure will be more of the same. And it looks like this one takes place in like a beach town. So let's see what this is about together. It says 7 hours in the past, 7 days in the present, 7 survivors remaining. Who would you save? Oh, intriguing. Okay, so I'm not gonna read the rest of it. Do you want me to read the rest of it? No, because you know, we know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be an interesting thriller. It looks like somebody's gonna have to save someone and make some hard choices. So that is The Only Survivors. Then we have one that I'm very excited about, and that is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. This one is published by Knopf, and I say I'm very excited about it. I own Hamnet and have not read it, but I really want to read it at some point. And this is Maggie O'Farrell's latest novel, and it is about the Medici family. And I think it's following Lucrezia. Is that her name? Yeah, Lucrezia, who is the 3rd daughter in her family, and she gets married off to Alfonso, who was originally supposed to marry her older sister, but her older sister died very suddenly. So there's a little bit of a switcheroo that happens, and he is maybe not what he seems to be. So that premise alone sounds very interesting. I know a lot of people have said, like, you know, if you know what happens, you know what happens, but I don't think that's going to take away from the book at all. Similarly to like Hamnet, you know what happens, but I don't think that takes away from the book. So I might try and read them together. Would that be too much at the same time? You tell me if you've read them. But really excited to have this and need to read Hamnet as well. And then the last one is one that I'm not familiar with, and that is Hang the Moon by Jeanette Walls. And this is published by Scribner. Clearly this is a historical fiction, and I have to say, like, why? Who did this? This is a crime? Who did this cover? Why? I've never understood. I don't understand. But, you know, one woman's opinion, it's just an opinion. I'm sure other people love this. So let's see what this is about together. It says, most folk thought Sally Kincaid was a nobody who'd amount to nothing. Sally had other plans. Okay, sounds tenacious. So it says that she is the daughter of the biggest man in a small town, born at the turn of the 20th century into a life of comfort and privilege. Sally remembers little about her mother, who died in a violent argument with her father. Whoa, was not seeing that coming. Okay, her father is a duke, and the duke remarries and has a son. Sally tries to teach him to be as bold and resourceful as their father and as Sally herself, but her daredevil coaching leads to an accident. Okay, to placate her stepmother, the duke casts Sally out of the big house and out of town. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Whoa, there was already so much in that. There's already so much in that. So much we could pull apart. But sounds intense. And I do like a tenacious female main character. I'm curious how this person will, how the voice of the character will read. That will probably indicate a lot for me. So I might try to read like the prologue or something and see what the beginning is like. But yeah, that is Hang the Moon. If you have read this, let me know what you thought. And those are the 17 books that I have brought into my library in the month of September. I don't know how I'm going to do my goal of matching my books in and out this year. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. And I already know, spoiler for future things, I already know my book haul for future months are also going to be big because I'm traveling again. This happened last year. I'm traveling every month the rest of the year, and I always go to indie bookstores whenever I travel, and it's not looking good. I will also be going to the Portland Book Festival in November. So there's going to be so many more books coming into my library. I hope you're excited. I'm excited about it. I don't regret buying any of these books. So please let me know what you got in the month of September. And if you have read any of these, please tell me what you thought of them. I need direction on where to go first. And with that, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.